You can get rid of the AOL if you want to be. We're going to judge you based on the email address. We're going to judge you based on everything you see at the top. Alright, then you see there's an objective. So I'm going to tell you that it's your choice to create an objective. I don't like objectives. I think that they're highly outdated. I think employers don't necessarily care what it is they want. They care more about themselves and what they want and how you can help fill that. So it's better, in my opinion, to do what's called a summary, and in a nutshell, describe yourself and the skills and the value that you can bring to the table in a little mini paragraph. So when you're looking for that resume sample tonight, I want you to look for one that has a professional summary at the very beginning of the resume. No objective. So you'll see here, it says results-oriented leader, 25 years of experience, and he goes on and so forth, right? So he's telling us how many years of experience he has, and then he kind of gives us an idea of the skills that he has. I'll teach you a better method on how to do this. Then we move on to professional highlights. That's what he calls, basically, in a nutshell, his work experience. So you see down where the bullet statements start, how it says manage, revise, review. All of them start with an action word, right? Then it goes on to tell you the number, how many people, and he gives you a lot of detail. That's what we're looking for in the bullet statements. Anytime you can quantify, you're going to quantify. You're going to tell how you make things better. You're going to talk about the role that you play in it. I'm going to teach you a method to do that. Just want to get an understanding of what that looks like. Okay, and then you see over to the right side where it says 1992 to the present. I don't like this resume for the fact that it just gives you the year. Why do you think that I don't like that it just gives you a year?
There could be gaps, months.
Exactly. So if you're telling me you worked somewhere from 2011 to 2012, you could have worked there literally like a month, and it rolled over to the next year, right? So it looks like you're leaving information out. So I say always use a month and year, even though your book has crappy examples there. Alright, so month and year, you're going to write that down. So I like to do 3 letters of the month. So like DEC for December, and then I pick the year. And then you move it to present if you're currently in the role. And then you see he put his education and training down at the very bottom. And some of you guys, it might serve you to do that because maybe you don't have a lot of education that's beneficial to what you're going for. You put that last one. But if you're someone who your education really matters, it's more relevant, you're going to structure it differently. You might move your education to the top before your work experience. To give you an example, so my husband has his work experience, right? But he needs a doctorate in dentistry to be able to do teeth. We need to know right away that he has that doctorate. So I'm not going to save that information at the very bottom of the resume. So when you structure your resume, this is something to consider, is if you don't catch me at the very top of your resume, this is why professional summaries are so important. You don't catch my attention at the very top, you don't get my attention down at the bottom of your resume. So you don't want to save information for the bottom. And even when you structure it, you want to structure it so, like let's say you have bullet statements, and let's say I'm going to apply for this role for training or facilitating, right? Then maybe I'm going to use training and facilitating bullet statements at the very top. I'm not going to save those on the bottom if that main job is about me emphasizing my training skills. I'll even structure my bullets that way. Because I know as human beings, on the other end, they get lazy. They don't want to keep reading unless they know that they're getting your attention, you're getting their attention, right? Or it's worth their time. So you always want to strategically place your stuff on your resume. That's why that professional summary section is so important. And then there's another thing I'm going to teach you guys later. It's about putting up here, like let's say they want you to have a certain kind of certification, or they want you to have like a secret clearance, they want you to be bilingual, or any other certifications. I'm going to put that up right here. Like after I do a summary, I'm going to put some bullets right next to it and put like, let's say, top secret clearance, bilingual, CPR certified. If I know that on the job posting it says that they want that. I'm not going to save that information for down here. Does that make sense? Because I want them to know right away I got what you need, and then I'll keep looking at your resume.
I know for security clearances too, like it's for like adjudication dates and stuff like that. So for everyone here, if you have one, and if you want to put it on your resume, you can go to your S2 or your security shop or your intelligence shop, and they can give you the specific like adjudication dates and close dates and what kind of investigation you have too. So that information is readily available.
Yeah, and a secret clearance is a good thing to put up front in half of your resume. So I'm gonna give you guys an example. So I had a private client that I was working with. She came to me, she had no interviews. It was like 2 years. She had been working to find a social work position. So she was currently working as an insurance agent. And she wanted to work in social work. That's what she went to school for, and she did an internship. So she structured her resume chronologically with her most recent job, which was insurance. She didn't do a professional summary and describe herself in any way. She just straight up work experience insurance. Then she put her internship information at the very bottom of her resume. That talked about a detailed, long internship that she did in the social work field. It was at the bottom. So she came to me not getting any interviews. So I looked at her stuff and I said, well, let's create a professional summary for you. We're going to describe you as a social worker. And I threw some skills in there, working with people one-on-one, and children is who she wanted to work with. And I made up a little paragraph. And then I said, then after that, we restructured, so we took that internship to the top. Even though it was a while ago, I changed her experience section to relevant work experience. So when I say relevant work experience, it's telling you that it's not chronological. I'm giving you the information that you want to know. So I restructured that. After we did that simple change, she went from no interviews to 8 in 2 weeks. Why? Because of what I just told you guys. People aren't going to look at the bottom if you don't catch their attention at the top. If they see right away that you're insurance, they're going to be like, no, not my social worker. Disregard, move on to the next resume, right? But the way I structured it meant everything and caught their attention. So I want you to keep that in mind when you're creating your resume. So the thing is, if you are going to go for a position, let's say, in customer service role, working in hotels, let's say, and you want to describe yourself as a strategic military leader with 5 years of experience working on airplanes, doing whatever. Do you think that they're going to, after they read that summary, do you think they want to call you in for an interview? No. But if you describe yourself as a customer service professional with 5 years of experience helping pilots figure out what parts to use, I don't know. You know what I mean? It makes a big difference about them calling you in. So you need to be able to describe your way strategically in a way that makes sense for them to kind of want to keep reading more. They're only going to look at your resume for how long you think?
2 minutes?
Minute? Okay. So usually they're going to look at your resume for about 5 minutes. 3 to 5 seconds. So it's a little more than they're going to judge you. So you want to catch them right away. I'm only going to read that top part, then you want to catch me there. So if I say the most important thing about your resume is you get that top part right. So when you're looking at samples of resumes, remember you're looking for a professional summary at the top. So you want to find a good resume sample. Does that make sense? Okay. So let's look at how you're going to write those bullet statements that you see on page 210 where it starts with managed. So we're going to use a method called the STAR method. And what this stands for is situation, task, action, results. So you can use this method also to answer questions, like interview questions. You can basically describe the situation, what you did, what your actions were, and the results. Otherwise, you can use you in a nutshell. There's like, you're describing the situation, the problem, and the solution. You want to make sure every kind of bullet statement shows that, the results you're able to create. So let's kind of walk through this. Alright, so you had a good example earlier. Tell me that example again. That you shared with us. Sorry. You're going to walk me through this. Tell me the situation. Baby shark, yeah.
I took over the well baby tracker that was at 67% at the time.
So you took over, what was it? A baby?
The well baby tracker is a heat expansion, so it's running with pediatrics.
You took over the well baby tracker.
Yes.
So basically you were in charge of the well baby tracker.
Yes.
Okay. So, so that's kind of the situation, right?
Yes.
And you might give me some more detail of that, maybe we'll come back. So what was your actual task?
My task was to call the parents of those patients, get them appointments scheduled, and make sure that they're seen. So my numbers start going back up. So our clinic is in looked down upon from, Mother Hospital in
Okay,
Jacksonville.
so you were emphasizing, what was that question that you answered earlier? I'm sorry. I forget. Was it like improving systems or something like that? Yeah, like what was the question that you answered?
Oh, increase customer loyalty by consistently delivering customer interaction that are efficient, convenient, pleasant, and respectful.
Okay, so the skill set, let's say that he's gonna show us is what? Customer service, right? That's his skill. So I want you guys to figure out what that skill is that you're gonna emphasize. So we'll start with the skill. So you look at, let's say you view a job posting and you're like, what skills did it want me to emphasize? Then I'm gonna think of stories that relate to that skill so I can emphasize it into a bullet statement. Does that make sense? Okay, so we always start with the skill, customer service, let's say. So the situation was you were in charge of the bank tracker, right? And then what was the role that you took?
The role that I took was,
Yeah.
calling the patients, which is me having a relation with the parents. Making the appointments with the parent. And,
To schedule appointments?
yes, and ensuring that they came to see me.
So these are gonna be related, the tasks and the actions, they might overlap. Call patients to schedule appointments, to what? Give me some more detail.
Just to ensure that they came to see one of the doctors in my
Perfect.
department.
To ensure they came to see what?
One of the doctors within my department.
Show up for appointments?
Yes.
Alright, and then what were the results after you did this?
My numbers jumped from 67% to 97%.
So patient show rate,
Yes.
so increase from, what did you say it was?
67 to 97.
7 to 9. So that's kind of what you're gonna walk through. You're gonna figure out the skill that you wanna emphasize, kind of think about the situation that you demonstrated that skill. What was your actual role? What were the unique details of it? Give me some details here. And then what results? Make sense? You walk through this whole STAR thing. And I'm telling you guys, I'm not having you do this on your own. It's painful because you're tired at the end of the day and it takes a lot of your brain power. I get that. So then what we're gonna do is turn this into a bullet statement. After we went through all of this, now we're gonna start with a bullet statement. We gotta figure out what action word do you think we're gonna emphasize with this? So manage, supervise. What else would be a good customer service?
Increase.
Maintain, provide.
Achieve.
Maybe even, let's say, okay, well, we'll start with manage. We could even do something, if we looked at the job description and it said that it wants you to have experience calling patients, I might simply start using the word call, right? Because I'm gonna match that in the job posting. But for here, let's use manage, because we're gonna emphasize the management skill. So we'll say manage, and then I want you guys to help me write this. So manage what?
Clinical, scheduling.
Okay. Manage, clinical. Or maybe he wants to emphasize that he's gonna work in a pediatric office. So let's say manage pediatric scheduling system. By calling
You put by contacting,
patients.
yeah.
Or maybe by contacting, manage scheduling system by contacting patients. To So you were in charge of the baby tracker, well, what is it called? The well baby tracker.
He gets measured.
The HEDIS measure. Is a system?
That's what they call it throughout the clinic for every different department that has certain things, so cancer, stuff like that. There's HEDIS measures, percentages for each one.
Okay, so. To simplify, so we can kind of add this, maybe we want to write manage and then add something about this tracker system in detail, but for this purpose, we're gonna make it simple with manage pediatric scheduling system by contacting patients to remind them of appointment times, resulting in what?
Increasing,
Increase shoulder rate from 67%.
So maybe we'll take this off and put increasing,
Numbers.
so, it went up, it was a 3-month period? From, what was it, 67% to 97% in a 3-month period? Oh my God. All right, so, I know this is a hot mess, this is how yours are gonna be, it'll be like that. So manage pediatric scheduling system by contacting patients to remind them of appointment times. Increasing stroll rate from 67 to 97% in a 3-month period. So see what we did? We went through that whole system. Do you need to go through this whole system to get to this point? Maybe you don't need to, maybe you do. Your book is gonna walk you through the whole process, but sometimes that can feel painful. I don't care how you get here as long as you get here with a bullet statement.
I have a question.
So this bullet statement, so this bullet statement has to describe the unique details. Make sure it describes unique details and results. That's, in a nutshell, what I'm looking for. You need to have a skill that you're emphasizing, unique details and results. And I don't care if you use this system to get there, I just need you to get here. Does that make sense? Always starting with this action word from page 96.
So pretty much what you're saying is we're taking like our evals and breaking it down and putting it in layman's terms so a civilian job can relate to what
Yeah,
we're saying.
you can look at your evals, and if that gives you a good place to start, to break this down, that would be really helpful. But you want to show me numbers. So the thing is, guys, when you look at a resume, let's look at one. So we look at 210, right? I want you just to glance at 210. What stands out to you? Numbers, right? First paragraph, we look at it. What's the thing that stands out to you? What was that? Numbers are going to stand out. So normally when you're writing like a research paper in college, you're trained that you don't want to write anything below 10, right? You're writing it out, N-I-N-E. For your resume, no. Put the number down because it has to be eye-catching. You want to catch their attention. That's your goal with a resume. Not the same as a research paper. To be correct. There's no right way to do a resume. There's a strategic way, in a way that gets people's attention. So numbers get people's attention. Bullet statements get people's attention. A bullet. Want to know why a bullet gets someone's attention? We've been trained since we were babies to look at circles, right? So think about your breastfeeding a baby. Nipple is circle. Your eye, you don't see very good when you're a baby. Literally, you've been trained this way to zoom into circles and targets. So you want your eyes to zoom in on the main important things. So that's why it serves you to use bullets versus dashes. Does that make sense? It does make sense. You know it does. Okay. So, all right. And numbers, we're using bullet statements. Numbers, we're using month and year. Right? Okay. So I want you to try and do go through this process. Your book has.
That's why I'll never forget that Super Bowl.
Your areas.
That's what it is. I remember the score and everything.
No, not 53.
The nipple explains it all. I remember that Super Bowl with Janet Jackson. I remember the score and everything.
All I want you guys to do is on page 35, 36, 35 and 36. I just want you to come up with the star statement converted to a bullet point. The rest of the stuff you don't have to fill out. It doesn't help you. If it helps you, go through it. But all I want to do is that bullet point statement, just like we did here. Remember, you need to start off with the skill, unique details, and the results. skill that the job that you're gonna apply to wants you to have. So you're intentional about the skill that you're putting. You can look at page 96.
First skill.
Or,
First is something that you did.
So we gotta put our first skill in here.
I guess so. First.